now, everyone knows that Tim Gettys uses Dollar Shave Club, gets in a bathtub, calls me and says, "Ooh, I'm a smooth boy, Greggy M." What you might not know, I didn't, is that Dollar Shave Club also has products for pretty much everything else you need in the bathroom. They got body wash, lip balm, shampoo, everything. You go to the store for this kind of stuff and you gotta deal with snot-nosed clerks and way too many options. Like, why are the aisles this long? Dollar Shave Club makes it easy and convenient for you to upgrade your shave and your bathroom, and you never have to go anywhere. They send all these high-quality products right to your door. Just like the razors, everything is awesome and left Tim looking like a smooth, great boy that you just want to come over and kiss. That's what I do when I see him. You know what I mean? Dollar Shave Club, of course, is changing the game. If you want to be a smooth boy that smells great like Timmy G and get kisses from Greggy M, now's the time to try Dollar Shave Club. For a limited time, they're basically giving away their starter set to new members. For only $5, their starter set features their executive razor and 3 trial size versions that are most popular products. You can stay fresh and clean. In your first box, you'll get the shave butter, body wash, 1 Wipe Charlie's butt wipes. You gotta do this. You'll also receive the executive razor, the weighty handle. You'll be able to shave. You'll be smooth. Everyone will be happy. It'll be fantastic, and it only costs you a few bucks a month. Cancel anytime, all that stuff. This offer is available exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/Greggy. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Greggy. Dollar Shave Club's high quality products will have you covered from face cheeks to butt cheeks. They wrote that line, not me, so never tell me that I'm bad at this again. And Tim, get over here. Tim, what's your topic?
Horror movies.
Horror movies.
Woo, yes, this spurs from the fact that Halloween is coming up in a couple days.
It was yesterday. It was yesterday.
And
Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
And last night, I saw it.
Oh, you went and saw it?
I did see it. So I don't want to spoil that movie too much, but...
Top level it for me.
So top level, I feel like a lot of people's biggest critique of the movie is that it's not scary. I don't think that's necessarily the point. It's a fucked up movie. Yeah. For sure.
Is it like, what, I guess.
Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't seen it. I was in Denmark where they don't have movies there. Is it eerie? Is it freaky? Or is it just kind of twisted? Like what?
It's twisted.
It's twisted. Okay. Yeah.
I think there's like moments to it that are creepy and scary and like things skittering about and chasing people. And
but that's my question for you guys, right? So I watched the trailer, right? Mm-hmm. And even when they have that iconic sort of shot of the kid like reaching down and then Pennywise pops up, even that didn't get me. And then they have the shot of the hand and all this other stuff that are like these classic sort of almost tropey shots they put in there, and I'm like, there's nothing. It doesn't look that scary. It just looks kind of freaky.
And I think that's it. It's like I don't know that it's necessarily designed to be a scary movie, and that's why horror. And this is kind of part of the discussion I want to bring up. Is like, what exactly is that? Because there's slasher movies, there's thriller movies, but it's just like everyone wants to judge those based on how scary they are, right? There's not that many movies that I would say are scary, like legitimately scary. It's actually hard for me to even think of ones that
Amityville Horror
I would put into that category.
One?
Like The Shining is scary.
The Shining, yeah, I don't know if they'd put The Shining as a horror movie though. Is that classified as a horror movie?
I don't know.
Technically, but I wouldn't either. Yeah.
So what would you thriller?
Kind of thriller, yeah.
But there's like ghosts
I think it was
and blood.
Psychological thriller. That's what that would be.
But I feel like that's where things get actually scary. It's just like when it's like weird psychological shit where you're like, this is
you want to talk about
me.
You want to talk about a movie that I think that scares me. Like when I think, oh my god, this is a movie that is fundamentally unsettling to watch. Even now, even though I've seen it like I shit you not probably 20 times, is Silence of the Lambs. That's a movie. Well, it's not a horror movie. You can't. It's a suspense thriller, right? But you watch that.
I feel like people would put it in horror though.
It potentially.
I think it does go in horror, but it's more like a crime drama.
Yeah, but it gives you that feeling of terror the entire time. That ominous, that fucking like building, mounting feeling of doom and dread.
I think horror is a broad stroke umbrella that a lot fits under. I don't think Silence of the Lambs fits under it. For horror, for me, trying to define horror, I guess, it would be almost otherworldly in every way.
So that has to be a level of supernatural.
No, so stick with me because that's what as I was saying, I'm trying to figure out how I would do it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a slasher flick, but it's also a horror flick, I feel, in the way that like this is way so crazy and out of bounds and insane. No, this wouldn't happen. Sure. You know what I mean? At least, and definitely not to this level. I think that is a horror slasher. That's the movie. Whereas Silence of the Lambs, you could see happening. This guy's crazy and eats people. And, you know what I mean? Like Buffalo Bill's kidnapping people in the streets, but he's not. And he's trying to make a suit, I guess. So maybe, but it's
not horror.
It's very grounded. I think it's similar to the way of like the Nolan Batman films, or at least the good ones, don't feel like superhero movies, like they're trying stuff, right? Like they are definitely outside of that in the same way that like I guess technically Buffalo Bill and Leatherface are similar, right? Because he wants to wear this suit. Yeah. Buffalo Bill wants to wear the suit, and Chainsaw Man, is wearing a face or something. But like
they were both based off like the same real person, right? Ed Gein.
That I'm not sure about.
Yeah,
but I think, but you can see what I'm talking about, where one's very much like real, based in reality, and the other is heightened up to 11.
Yeah, I mean that's stylistically the line you have to draw, right?
Sure.
Where it's like one tends to err a little bit more on the side of supernatural, and there's a level of gore and a level of violence that you're seeing on screen. But
I feel like that's what slasher is, though.
The slasher is horror.
But I think slasher is part of a horror.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like Silence of the Lambs isn't a slasher movie.
It's not. I mean, I wouldn't say it's.
But I would say
wouldn't
it's a
put
horror
that anywhere.
movie, though.
I wouldn't put it near horror. I would put it as like psychological.
But I feel like
thriller.
it is that. But that's under horror in the same way slasher's under horror. You know?
Maybe. I mean,
Like-
horror. I don't know.
I don't know. Like when you think of what are horror movies that you like?
Horror movies that I like, when you think of the classic horror movies in the 80s, right? You think of like, Jamie Lee Curtis is in the new, what's it
Halloween.
called? Halloween, right? Halloween is a horror movie, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a horror movie, right? These are gratuitous, they have gratuitous violent scenes, they have nudity, they're basically exploitation films to a certain degree. That's what I think of when I think horror. Modern day, maybe It Follows would be like a horror
That's
movie.
a great one. That's
The
a great
Witch,
reference.
I'm sorry, not The Witch. Witch would be
yeah.
horror, right? These are movies that Conjuring. These are horror movies, right?
all that stuff.
So I mean, you look at a movie like Silence of the Lambs, and that is, you're right. I mean, that's a movie that to me screams psychological thriller because it's so rooted in reality.
Did you watch Hush?
No, I did not.
Anybody watch Hush here? I've talked about it on one of the shows. It's Jim from the Newsroom, right? Remember the Newsroom? Okay. The fucking show on HBO we talked about all the time with Jeff Daniels.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, so Jim from the Newsroom, but he's a murderer or whatever. It's this woman who's deaf out in the woods or whatever, in her like glass cabin she has or whatever, and he kills all the neighbors and comes and tries to get in there. He's trying to attack her and stuff, and it's him trying to stab her and kill her. But it's a thriller, not horror for me again, where it's like that's outside of it. That's a thriller or a drama or whatever. It's another one that's kind of based in reality in some respect of like, yep, there are crazy people who do it. Kev, what do you got for me?
I believe Cool Greg watched this movie. I believe it's on Netflix, and he said it was one of the scariest movies he had ever seen.
It's super scary.
And it kept him up. Like, it legitimately kept him up.
Yeah.
And my brother loves horror movies in general. Like, and all the slasher movies, like the
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Hellraiser, all that stuff.
Hellraiser's.
Have you ever seen The Strangers?
No.
The original, they redid it. Didn't
They
they?
redid it with Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that one?
I never saw it. No.
Because it's kind of that same thing of like it's three people trying to break into a house where this couple is at in this like tumultuous moment in their relationship. But it's just about three people deciding like I'm just gonna fuck with you.
Yeah.
And there's no other backstory to that.
Yeah.
And what's really creepy about the movie is that some of the scenes they don't tell Liv what's gonna happen in the scene.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's like scenes of, like her standing there and you see someone like walk into the house and stare at her and then leave.
Yeah.
And she has no idea it's happening.
That's
And so,
fucking awesome.
and that's kind of the scary thing because the director based it off something that actually happened in his town. He based it on the Manson murders and this of just these people deciding that like I can just break into your house and there's nothing you can do about it.
And see, this is my thing. I love horror movies too, but I love what I think of as horror movies. Zombies are. I fucking love zombie movies. I love zombie anything. I love that. I love what we're talking about with like outrageous things. I can watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I can watch Friday the 13th. I can do that. When we start getting into what a lot of people were calling for a while, what are like, Jesus, I'm swinging and missing on every one of my references here. The one Eli Roth movies. What were they calling Eli
Hostel?
Roth? Yeah, Hostel and
Torture porn.
Torture
Yes,
porn.
torture porn.
Thank you. That's the kind of shit I can't do because I can't deal with, hey, here is this group of people who are nice. Like I think of the one that Eli Roth, I think most recent one, it was like the Green something or other where the kids are out there. Like,
Green Room.
no, that's not the one I'm thinking of. They're out on like a peacekeeping mission, like Greenpeace shit, and like the natives abduct them and put them all in like wooden cells and start slowly eating them, and they're gonna rape this girl. And it's like, geez, and it's like That's the kind of shit I can't do. I can't do torture porn because I just can't stand the idea of something bad happening to some good people in a grounded, wavy reality way of like that could really happen in a way like, why? Oh God, why is it got to happen?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the torture porn, I've saw both Hostel movies, and it's like I didn't enjoy them. I don't know why, but I did watch them, and after watching the first, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch the second. Shouldn't have done that. But the Saw movies, I love those movies, and they definitely
Green Inferno,
range in
thank you.
quality. I stand by the first three, don't necessarily stand by the others.
Yeah.
I'm excited another one's coming this year, and it's not going to be good, but whatever.
The trailer looked great. I told you, like when I went, they showed it before it, and then granted, I'm there to see a horror movie, scary movie, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. And then like when I saw the trailer, I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood for this, so I'm in the right mindset to see this trailer, and this trailer looks cool. I'll go see that.
My thing about Saw though is I don't like it for the torture porn stuff. I liked it for the story and the plot of what was
Sure.
going on to get to all those different scenes. But the recent horror movies we've seen, horror I use very lightly and broadly, is so Get Out obviously happened this year,
Great
and
movie.
that's another one. People, a psychological thriller, whatever.
Right.
And the one from last
Get
year
Out
was
so
Don't
good.
Breathe.
Don't Breathe was fucking
Yeah.
fabulous, man. That was so good.
our
Like,
boy.
that's a horror movie, but it's like there's no special powers. No one's like.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what-
It's just a
yeah.
dude.
That one
But-
skates a line for me.
See, yeah, I guess technically I would put it in thriller, and
I'd put it in
I don't think a
thriller.
thriller necessarily has to be a horror movie. But it is that thing of like, I mean, spoilers for fucking what was it?
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe, which I did like a lot. But like when you go downstairs and he's got
Yeah.
this
A little
woman,
freaky.
That's where Durant.
But
it's like this is now getting a weird. This is starting to dance
How
with
is that
horror.
any different than would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Like that's the same. That to me had the same vibe of like this is something someone really
This is
could fucking do.
a fucked up person could do
Yeah.
this.
Sure.
How does
Sure.
IMDb classify it? I'm gonna look.
Happy-go-lucky movie they call it. So, Chris, what do you think of horror movies? Are you a horror movie fan?
I am. I tend to kind of lean more supernatural stuff.
Okay.
Because I think it's scarier to me, the idea of something I have no ability to fight against. Like it's not a particularly good movie, but the Mila Jovovich, The Fourth Kind,
No.
is an alien abduction movie.
Okay.
And she plays a psychiatrist, and there's like real footage of what it's actually based on in the movie. But the scariest part of that whole movie is there's a scene in which she's recording her she's talking about a patient.
Yeah.
And she nods off in the middle of the recording, and then you hear the aliens abduct her, and you hear her wake up and start screaming, but she has no memory of this at all happening. And I think it's that fundamental idea of things can happen that you just will never know.
Yeah.
I think that's terrifying. So most of my horror kind of leans like I like the Paranormal Activity movies.
Yeah,
they're
Paranormal
campy,
Activity.
they're campy and they're fun. Like that last one was what? Like that was so. CG.
Well, that's the problem with anything when you start
It
trying to
keeps
sequelize
upscaling.
it. Like
It's
when we watched the first Paranormal Activity, I was like, this is a horror movie I've been waiting for so long.
Did you do like when it was wide release, or did you request it to come to your city?
Oh no, we watched wide.
So we in LA we did the very first requested show, so it wasn't even a wide release yet. And I hope to God they paid this woman, because there was a woman in the back the whole like last night of that movie. She is hyperventilating in the back of the room, so everyone in the theater is just super on
Super
edge,
tense, yeah.
and we're just all like, "What's gonna happen?" So when they kill her and they throw her body or throw his body, everyone lost their shit.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I hope to God that she was like a paid person for this movie. 'Cause it did the best.
the
Like we were like
director.
left it. We were like, everyone has to see this thing now.
Well, it was just that movie was so great, and I know it's now that they've spiraled it out of control, and like
yeah.
there's all this time and dimension hopping in it. Because I still watch. I haven't played the VR game. I need to do that. But it was like watching that thing when it was like. All the clips made it look like, okay, cool, it's gonna be this. And then like when there's like tracks in the fucking dirt and like her hair's blowing and shit, I was like, this is fucking
fucked up,
epic.
man. Yeah, no, it's cool, and also it was shot in such a unique way.
budge, yeah.
But even during that era, though, even before then, I think was Wreck, right?
Yeah, Wreck was around the same time, maybe.
Well, I don't know.
little
I'm not
bit
even
before.
familiar with what Wreck
It was a
is.
Spanish horror zombie film.
Okay.
They remade it here. What the hell did they call it when they remade it?
VHS, is that what they call
No,
it?
no.
here?
VHS was like a collection of shorts.
You're right.
But they-
Quarantine?
Yes,
That's what it was.
It.
Yeah.
That's what
The
it
Spanish
was.
one's way
I've
better.
seen the
Spanish
original.
one's way better.
Or I've seen
And there's
the American one.
two, and then the second one goes like huge. They become like demons and shit.
Yeah.
But those are really good too. Did you? What was? It Comes at Night came out this year. That I thought was
was
really
that?
good. I thought it was fantastic.
Hated it.
Oh, I hated it.
And I think
too.
it was just specifically just for like my taste.
To give context for viewers out there, we did the Emily Was Away thing. We got drunk. Then we started sobering up, and we were like, let's go out and do something. And that movie had just come out, and we were all like, we've heard nothing but good things. Let's go see it. And the credits rolled, and we all got up, and we're like, that was awful.
Yeah.
It didn't deliver on what we thought we
Sure,
wanted. You know what I
exactly.
mean? It's the same thing where like Mother. It's getting a lot of mixed reviews right
Yeah.
now, and the trailer. We're filming before it comes out. The trailer looks great, and I was like, I'd go see this movie, but I worry I'm gonna get to the end and be like, what the fuck?
It also just looks like Rosemary's Baby, and I don't know where they're gonna go with that. It comes at night. It's a very slow thriller, like it's a slow burn thriller. So you kind of need to just go in expecting that. And I think it's probably the best made movie I've seen this year. Like I think the directing, the cinematography, the editing, I think it's all superb.
Interesting.
But I know a lot of people who wanted like a real horror movie got real disappointed from that.
Kevin,
It's just because the trailer did such a bad job of marketing it, where they use like, I'm not spoiling anything if you've seen the trailer, like the scary like that's like
not
in there
even
twice. You've seen it now. That's what it is. You're like, oh, like I thought this was gonna be a real threat, a real impending thing.
But I love. Did you ever see that poster they had for it, where it's just like a really badly lit back of a dog barking into the darkness, and you see like a leash? I thought it was the best single horror movie poster I've ever seen. Of like just you don't know what's out there, and it comes at night.
It's a great title, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And honestly, like there's so much about the movie that was great. Like it wasn't an awful movie.
We were just so deflated.
I ended up not liking because I feel, to me, when it comes to any movie, but I think horror is especially true in this case, is I like rules to be followed in the universe, and I want to know that it's building and it's going to get somewhere. And I feel like that movie set up a bunch of rules and it never did anything with them. It was just kind of like we just saw a slice of something that happened, and I get that that's cool and artsy, but it just feels like, what's the point of putting me in this world if we're not going to have some type of creative use of it at the end?
Yeah.
Did you see Raw?
Raw.
I'm getting the title right. Remember, I tried to get you to go see this movie. It was the foreign
cannibals?
language one.
It's foreign language
Yeah.
about a woman who eats.
A girl goes to college, veterinarian school. Yeah. Young vegetarian undergoes a carnivorous hazing ritual at vet school. An unbidden taste for meat begins to grow in her.
What did you think of it?
It was super weird because I went there not 100% knowing what to expect.
Right.
And so like I didn't even know it was a foreign language film at the time, but I like sat down and like the subtitles started popping. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Because it was like totally spur of the moment.
Right.
Jen hadn't moved here yet. I was like, you want to go see this movie? You're like, no. And I'm like, I'm in the mood to go to the Alamo and get some popcorn and chill. And so I went there and did it. And like, it was like, it's
What
got
a random like I just want to go see a movie today. Like, okay, cool, great.
Well, I like horror movies, right?
Yeah.
And like I was in the mood. It struck. And so I went and saw it, and it was like super weird, and you're not 100% sure what's going on. And again, I would put it under horror, but it's because it's like otherworldly. Again, they make her eat this thing, but then she's like, I need to eat raw meat, and she starts biting people. You know what I mean? Like doing like crazy shit, but not like a zombie. Whatever.
Where would you put the first Alien movie then? Is that sci-fi or is that horror?
That's
sci-fi.
horror, actually, probably.
It's both, yeah.
That's a horror movie, Kev. Get on your
I'd
mic
say
and make your
sci-fi
case.
horror.
Because I mean, in the Aliens, it goes full sci-fi. But
Yeah.
like the first one is such a suspense thriller, hunting.
It's
like,
been a long
monsters
time
hunting
since
you.
I saw original Alien or Aliens, really.
so
I saw it
fucking good,
fairly
yeah.
Watch
recently,
Alien
and
3 every
it's
year.
one of those movies that gets me so uncomfortable and like scared, and like I know what's gonna happen, but it just for me like that is a great one to be like, yeah, it's sci-fi, but it's also very horror.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
God, what
Suspense.
a great fucking concept too. Alien. Like how many times is that still? Well, fuck, they've done like 40 Alien movies at this
Yeah.
point. But like, man, how beautiful and pure was that film when you first saw it? Where you were like, it is literally just about they go someplace, they find a monster, the monster kills them.
See,
that is it.
Yeah.
What's interesting about this conversation about horror movies is it's really reminding me of the conversation we did about comedies a while back, where it's happened to me so many times where I'm like, I could go for a horror movie or something, and I jump on Amazon, I look at it, and they're all like 2 stars, 2.5 stars. I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time on this. But then, you listen to the show. I was in the bad movie for a bad comedy, and I watched a comedy. I'm like, oh, this is funny. It's rated low because it's not fucking.
It's so subjective that like, you get one person who's like, this is a 5, and this is a 1, and then cool, now it's a 3.
What is the girl with all the gifts? Did you ever go watch that?
No, I didn't actually end up watching that.
Did
You were the one that
watch it?
recommended that, though, right?
Yeah, I think it does that normal thing we talk about in horror movies, whereas the ending third act, you're just like, there's a weird way to go with it, but up until then, it was super fascinating, super interesting.
I want to give a shout out to Blair Witch Project from
The original?
No,
The
just
new-
Blair,
the
Blair
new one?
Witch, the
The
one that
new
came
one?
out last year. Did you see it?
Oh yeah.
It's good,
Oh, it's
man.
fantastic.
I didn't watch it. What was the
It's,
thrust?
I mean, it's just more of an actual story about like you see the Blair Witch.
Oh, okay.
Like it is more of a
2 frames, but
Sure.
that's
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Like that is enough.
Yeah.
but it's more of a, I'd say, traditional style horror movie compared to the first one. It does have, it's all found footage stuff, but it does creative things where like they use a drone and it's modern.
Sure.
But
it's good?
Yeah, and it has moments that you feel really, it's like Blair Witch Project where it's like the characters start doing fucked up things and it makes you feel uneasy.
Yeah.
And it ended a little bit weird, but even the last 5 minutes were so intense. Like the whole time I was like, holy shit.
I think like the whole last like 30 minutes, like
Once they get in the house.
Even before then, I think I don't know. Can we spoil it too much?
Yeah,
Like the Perpetual Night.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought the Perpetual Night was a really good way of like amping it up. Of like it's constantly tense for 30 straight minutes.
Yeah,
Because
to
I was
the
like,
point where it never became daytime.
I wanted to run to the bathroom in the theater. and
Was
I,
this like a plot point in the movie?
yeah.
Where they wake up and it's still
nighttime?
Yeah, and like
Wow,
it
that's
never
very
ends. Like I wanted to like run to the bathroom, so like I'm just waiting for the day to start. And I was
Yeah,
like,
'cause you know
I was in the
that's so weird.
hallway and I'm like, is it okay? It's just not ending. And I was in there for like 20 minutes. I'm like, it's just not ending. Like I'm gonna go sit down again because this thing is just going. And
I want to see this.
it does such a great job of just like it's such a subtle move of just like all that happens is just a night. But then because you know all the horror rules of what a night means for a horror movie, that since it never ends, you have this tensity about you the entire time, just expecting things. And it just never stops.
While we're on this thing, I do want to give a shout out to the original Blair Witch, which I'm sure probably doesn't hold up and But the original Blair Witch was the first time me and my high school friends were of age, had cars, had internet, and like I remember there was that real thing of like, is this a real movie or a documentary? And like it finally came to our town after we had like been reading about it online, and we went and watched that movie, and you laughed and you're like, fuck.
Because there's a documentary with that movie too.
Yeah, exactly.
And some news television stations actually aired that documentary. Like, this is a real thing. These people are actually missing.
Yeah.
It's such a great, just little simple marketing.
And it's like, I know that's been done such a million times since then, found footage shit, but like that was the one that like I remember like when they're in the tent and like the children's hands are pounding on the side. I was like,
Yeah.
holy fucking shit.
yeah, just the giggling outside.
Yeah.
Such simple little
Horror
things.
movies are awesome.
They are. It's sad to me that I don't like horror movies that much. Like
You do, though.
I will watch a horror movie and I'm like, fuck, that was so good. I just don't. I like, for whatever reason, shy away from that experience. I don't know why.
I don't think you do. But my thing is, because I've
You
known
guys have all seen it. I'm not going to see it now.
Yeah.
I will not see it until it comes to Netflix,
And
then
that's fine.
maybe it'll sit
Honestly,
on my Netflix queue
you
for
don't
a
need
long
to
time.
see it.
Yeah,
otherwise.
that's probably a good way to watch it.
But my thing with you is like every time that we go see a good horror movie, you're right there with me. You're like, that was really good.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
for
But
Don't
it's-
Breathe,
I
which
just
I think is the highest one I can recommend.
we have just a good track record of being lucky when it comes to horror movies that we pick. And more often than not, people have to be like, dude, this is a fucking great movie. Like, I didn't watch It Follows for like 2 years until it came out. Granted, it came out I think in limited release, so it wasn't like it wasn't a big amazing moment for horror movies, but. I watched that 2 years later. I think it was on Netflix, and I was like, that was fucking really cool. But then, of course, by then, no one wanted to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
I bring it up all the time.
I mean, because then there's things like Conjuring, for example, that everybody loves. I don't love it.
See, those are movies where I'm like, these just scream cookie cutter.
Yep.
We're trying to make, these are cash grabs, right? These are just like,
But they always hit the right, not always, I should say. Conjuring
which-
1, Conjuring 2. I don't do the Annabelle shit, the spin-off stuff. I don't care.
I like the first Annabelle.
Did you?
I like
Okay.
it broke a horror trope. I think it's really nice. Of like, it had a competent husband for once.
Oh, nice.
Of anytime, because the hauntings are all happening to the wife, who I believe is pregnant with her kid. And at the beginning of the movie, she's pregnant. And he's like training to be a doctor. And this is the 70s. So he's like, I have to go to Pasadena from Santa Monica. And like, it's such a long trek for him. Like,
Yeah.
I can't come back for 4 days because I'm in Pasadena. It's like, okay. And all this stuff is happening to her, but then she'll tell him. And he goes, okay, well, you're the one living in the house, so I'll believe whatever you say is actually true. And like, you don't have like the paranormal activity problem. Like,
Yeah.
no. Like, okay, but like, I'm gonna go Ouija board this shit. Like,
Yeah.
you're just making it worse. And he does it. And like, when she gets attacked, he handles it. Like, he comes in with a bat. Like, he's ready. He gets like, I think he gets stabbed at one point trying to like protect. So like, it just kind of like had this fun of like, he doesn't actually suck. So there's no one out against her versus this monster.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
there supporting her, and that actually kind of feels like at least there's a safety net if she's not on her own.
Right.
Because then there's like a neighbor who's helping her with all this. So it's fun. It's not like an amazing horror movie, but I think it's
Well,
fun.
that's the thing is where I think there's so many horror movies that aren't amazing but are good and stick with you, or certain aspects do, right? Like I think of, and there's another one I haven't watched since I was 13 or whatever with my friends, but The Entity. Which was it was some 80s horror movie or whatever, right? But it was a similar thing where like to what you were talking about in the beginning, where this woman's house is getting haunted, the kids are all there, she's a single mother or whatever.
Yeah.
And like they bring her into like a research facility, and the shit keeps happening. Like people are seeing it, and they know it's happening, and they can't stop
Yeah.
it. And like her older son is like running in with bats, and I think her ex-husband's part of it at one point. Like it's super weird, and like I'm pretty sure at one point, and I'm really rusty, so stick with me. I'm pretty sure the ghost like rapes her at one point. I distinctly remember
great.
being a kid where like in watching this movie where like somebody ran in when she was screaming and like she was like pinned down and like they had like the breast going like with a hand, like an invisible hand like massaging her breast or something weird like that. I digress, but I remember it's like I still think about it. That was a fucking horrifying movie because it ends and it's like, you know, she's moved several times. Like it was like based on a real story. She's moved several times and this shit's still fucking happening and nobody can stop it. And you're like, Jesus Christ, how the fuck's that possible?
There's so many moments in horror movies where like it really turns me off when things happen and where people just totally don't act realistically. Where it's like shit's happening in this house, like get the fuck out of the house. Like, and I feel like it kind of had that problem with me too, where it's just like, man, fuck no. If this shit started to happen, I'm gone. I'm just fucking gone. There's no dealing with this shit.
The other day, Jen and I were clicking through Amazon and watched a horror movie that was independent, and it was called Hell House, LLC. And it had it's not a great horror movie, but it's independent, so it's fun. And it's got the pitches that there's these like a small business like us, right? That what they do is set up haunted houses every year, and they set this one up at this hotel that turns out that it was really haunted, and the guy didn't tell anybody, blah blah blah. And it's got good creeps to it, but it's all like we're filming everything for a documentary, so it's that kind of found footage thing. And then they piece it together, and it's interesting, it's fun. I don't think not a ringing endorsement, but like they do things I didn't see coming. They do interesting stuff in terms of that, but there's like one of those exact moments where like there's one guy in the group who's the ghost or the haunting house like really fucking with. And like he has like multiple things on video of like, what the fuck is this? And everybody's like, oh, well, this. And like, no.
That's just the wind.
As soon as I saw like the shit, like the mannequin we know whose head doesn't turn and it's in the thing and then I'm fucking gone.
No,
see you guys. This
like
business isn't worth it.
The remake of Poltergeist just happened last year.
I didn't watch that. How was it?
Oh, it was one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen.
Really?
Crap.
So bad. So bad. And it's just like
love
every
Poltergeist.
action those characters took, I'm like, nah, get the fuck out.
When I was a kid, Poltergeist, the original Poltergeist,
Craig T. Nelson.
fucking terrified me.
Yeah.
And I went back and I watched it again maybe like 5 years ago, and it is still a fucking creepy ass fucking movie.
The biggest
man.
problem
It's so well done.
with this genre of horror movie that we're talking about, like the
Hauntings.
Conjuring and Annabelle and all that type of stuff, is nowadays it's all just CG.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that
it's
takes
not
away
fun.
any fear.
not
And that's
fun.
why even with it, any of the moments that could have been scary weren't scary because it's just like, oh, it's a video game.
Right,
Like,
it's not real. The performance isn't there. You're not.
But like
feeling it.
Poltergeist, when that dude got his fucking like face melted off
Which part?
in
of that?
Poltergeist, like his face fucking just like melts, and it was like practical that they did, and it was like this. They didn't. There was an actual thing of him melting.
I feel like the only thing I can think of with a Spielberg film where it melts is in
But Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders. Yeah, are you thinking Raiders?
No, I'm not.
I might be
Poltergeist.
confusing Poltergeist.
Anyways,
Whatever. Practical effects, yes, are 100%. And that's one of the reasons I think Paranormal Activity, right, was a scarier movie. Was like her hair is really
Shadows,
blowing and it's yeah.
Well, since I know you don't like The Conjuring, did you ever see Insidious? Because it's the same director.
I like Insidious.
And Insidious, he's like, I got
I did see Insidious.
my own camera. Two friends are lending me their house, and I cut it on my iMac. And it's like super low budget, but he does all this scares without needing.
You know what? No, I didn't. see
heard
it.
No,
good
what
things.
was the one that made me think of the one with Justin Long, where it was about like the
Drag Me to Hell?
Yeah, how
Sam
was it?
Raimi?
People like that.
That was
lot,
great.
Right?
I didn't see it.
I like Jeepers Creepers better.
Oh, fuck Jeepers
wow.
Creepers.
Jeepers
Jeepers
motherfucking-
Two is one of my least favorite movies. 3's coming out.
Now
Really?
you're
I know
getting into
they're
the,
doing
soon.
something with it. They're doing something with
you're
it.
getting
Yeah.
into that era of horror that I probably am most
Soured everything
have
else.
not
90s,
seen.
the 90s horror.
The
Yeah.
late 90s horror that was like once Scream happened,
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Oh, this is awesome. Let's all try to make Scream for the next 5 years." That it was like, remember like Urban Legends. I know what you did last summer. I
Shout out
still
to
know
that,
what you
though.
did last summer.
Yeah,
Whatever the
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
it was, and it was
Yeah.
like, oh my
No,
god.
Drag Me to Hell was, I stayed away from it forever because people know I like horror movies. Like, oh, you should watch this. And I was like, no, like, the premise is, right, that this girl doesn't give this lady a loan and basically she curses her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, we're falling into my thing of like bad things happening to good people.
Right.
And they're like, no. Like, and you watch it and it's like classic Raimi. It's like Evil Dead Raimi. Where at the end, like, there's all these like, cameras like that. And it's like the girl fighting back against like a corpse. You're like, all right, yeah, I see what we're doing here. But again, like the last scene of that movie is like one of those that's like seared in my brain of like, whoa, that was fucked up. Like, that's cool. That was a fucked up thing.
maybe
to
I'll
do.
watch it.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
should check it out.
It's fun. Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Game Over Greggy show, everybody. Click up here to subscribe. Click down here to go to the Patreon. Support us there. You can get a Team Fat apron. Click over here. You get to look at other videos we've made. And click down here, and it's going to be something just disgusting that Cool Greg finds. I want it to be about like a beetle or a bug or something.